Many believe Muslims and Jews are destined to be mortal enemies, a view shaped by headlines and the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. This narrative, amplified by extremists, oversimplifies a complex relationship and ignores the diversity within both communities. The idea of an ancient, religiously mandated war is a modern invention, more political than theological. For centuries, Jews and Muslims experienced periods of coexistence and collaboration, not just conflict. Understanding today's animosity means looking beyond religious dogma to the political upheavals of the 20th century. At the heart of the conflict are two irreconcilable narratives of justice. For Jews, Israel's creation was a return to an ancestral homeland and a refuge after centuries of persecution. For Palestinians, it was the Nakba, a catastrophe of dispossession and exile. Each side's claim to justice is seen by the other as the source of their suffering, making compromise feel like betrayal. The conflict is not just about land, but about identity, memory, and legitimacy. Without acknowledging both stories, the cycle of conflict and the myth of eternal enmity will persist. Jerusalem and Hebron stand as living testaments to the enduring power and complexity of faith. These ancient cities are not only epicenters of religious tension, but also places where history, spirituality, and daily life are inextricably intertwined. Their streets echo with prayers, processions, and the footsteps of millions who come seeking meaning, connection, and sometimes solace. Here, sacred sites are more than just places of worship. They are potent symbols of faith, identity, and belonging. Yet, these same sites have become flashpoints for violence, as competing claims and deep-seated grievances often erupt into confrontation. The presence of security forces is a constant reminder of the fragile peace that hangs over these revered spaces. The Temple Mount, known to Muslims as Haram al-Sharif, and the Cave of the Patriarchs, also called the Ibrahimi Mosque, are among the holiest sites for both Jews and Muslims. Their shared reverence makes control over them deeply contentious, as each community sees its own history and destiny reflected in these stones. The proximity of worshippers from different faiths, often separated by barriers or security, highlights both the closeness and the distance between them. Any perceived change in the delicate status quo, whether in access, administration, or ritual, can ignite protests and violence. These sites are not just religious landmarks, they are powerful symbols of divine connection and national identity, making every dispute intensely personal and political. Hebron's history is marked by exclusion and division. The physical separation of its holy site, with distinct areas for Jewish and Muslim worshippers, mirrors the broader conflict that shapes daily life. Security checkpoints and barriers are ever present, underscoring the reality of a city split by faith and politics. Despite a shared heritage that stretches back millennia, these sacred places have too often become battlegrounds. The scars of conflict are visible in damaged buildings, deserted prayer areas, and graffiti that speaks of anger and loss. The ongoing struggle over Jerusalem and Hebron reveals how faith and politics are inseparable in this land. Religious leaders, political movements, and ordinary citizens all play a role in shaping the destiny of these cities, where every gesture and symbol carries immense weight. In the end, these sacred spaces, which might have united people in shared reverence, too often deepen the divide, reminding us that in Jerusalem and Hebron, sanctity and strife walk side by side. History reveals remarkable periods of Jewish flourishing under Muslim rule, most famously in medieval Spain's Al-Andalus. Here, Jews, Muslims, and Christians lived side by side, creating a vibrant, multicultural society that left a lasting mark on world history. The cities of Córdoba, Granada, and Toledo became centers of learning, where scholars from different backgrounds gathered to share ideas and advance knowledge. Jews contributed significantly to science, philosophy, medicine, and culture, often writing in Arabic and participating in lively intellectual exchanges with their Muslim neighbors. Jewish thinkers like Maimonides and poets such as Judah Halevi became renowned figures, their works influencing both Islamic and European thought. This era saw the translation of ancient Greek texts into Arabic and Hebrew, preserving and expanding the world's knowledge. Yet, this coexistence was not one of full equality. It was structured by the dhimmi system, which granted Jews and Christians protection as people of the book, in exchange for accepting a subordinate status and paying special taxes. These legal and social frameworks defined the boundaries of tolerance and set clear hierarchies within society. While Islamic empires were often more tolerant than their Christian counterparts in medieval Europe, Jews' security and prosperity depended on the goodwill of the ruling authorities. Their rights and freedoms could expand or contract with a change in leadership, making their position inherently unstable. Periods of peace and collaboration were sometimes interrupted by episodes of violence, forced conversions, or expulsions. Discrimination and prejudice persisted, reminding everyone of the fragile nature of coexistence and the ever-present risk of persecution. The so-called Golden Age was real in its achievements, remarkable advances in science, literature, and philosophy, but it was always a managed tolerance, carefully maintained within a clear social hierarchy. The legacy of this era is complex, shaped by both cooperation and constraint. The past was never a simple utopia or a perpetual war. Instead, it was a nuanced tapestry of collaboration, negotiation, and occasional strife, a testament to the possibilities and limits of coexistence in a diverse society. The Ottoman Empire managed religious diversity through the millet system, granting Jews and Christians autonomy but reinforcing Muslim dominance. Expelled Jews from Spain found refuge and opportunity in Ottoman lands, revitalizing cities like Jerusalem and Safed. Identity was religious, not national, and coexistence was based on second-class status for non-Muslims. Legal and social discrimination was the norm, but it provided security and religious freedom. 19th-century reforms aimed at equality disrupted this order, meeting resistance and sowing seeds for future conflict. The old system's collapse paved the way for new, competing ideologies. World War I ended the Ottoman Empire, and European powers redrew the Middle East, creating new states and tensions. Nationalism replaced religious identity, with Jews pursuing Zionism and Arabs developing a Palestinian identity in response. The Balfour Declaration fueled Jewish hopes for a homeland, while Arab opposition grew as immigration increased. The conflict shifted from religious hierarchy to a clash of nationalisms, each claiming the same land. Religious leaders used faith to bolster nationalist goals, making the struggle even more volatile. The stage was set for a zero-sum battle over Palestine. The 20th century brought massacres and wars that deepened mistrust and trauma. The 1929 Hebron massacre and the 1948 Nakba shattered coexistence, creating refugees and fueling fear. The 1947 UN partition plan was rejected by Arab leaders, leading to war and further displacement. Violence continued, including the 1994 massacre at the Ibrahimi Mosque by a Jewish extremist. Each atrocity reinforced narratives of existential threat for Israelis and victimhood for Palestinians. These traumas are not just history, they shape present attitudes and justify ongoing aggression. The cycle of violence has become self-perpetuating. The 2020 Biden Main Summerby Omen Stordom, Nistanet Kamen Stein. What in 20 Abraham Accords marked a dramatic shift, with several Muslim-majority nations normalizing relations with Israel. By invoking Abraham, the Accords reframed the relationship as one of shared heritage, not eternal conflict. Economic and strategic interests drove the agreements, offering benefits to both Israel and the Gulf states. Critics argue the Accords sidelined the Palestinian cause and normalized occupation. The deals show that pragmatic cooperation is possible, but peace without justice for Palestinians remains elusive. The Accords are both a beacon of hope and a source of anxiety. Today, Jews and Muslims stand at a crossroads with deep divisions rooted in centuries of history, religious beliefs, and the collective trauma of conflict. The pain of the past is never far from the present, shaping identities and fueling mistrust. For many, the wounds of displacement, violence, and loss are still raw, passed down through generations as stories and memories that continue to influence how communities see one another. Yet, in the midst of this complexity, there are also shared hopes and dreams for a better future. The zero-sum nature of the conflict, where one side's gain is often seen as the other's loss, and the profound sacredness of places like Jerusalem and Hebron make compromise seem almost impossible. These cities are not just physical locations, they are symbols of faith, identity, and belonging for millions. The emotional and spiritual significance attached to them means that every negotiation is fraught with meaning, and every concession can feel like a betrayal. In this environment, extremist voices on all sides exploit fear and uncertainty, amplifying divisions and making reconciliation seem out of reach. But history also tells a different story. one of periods where Jews and Muslims lived side by side, cooperating in trade, culture, and daily life. These moments, though often overshadowed by conflict, remind us that coexistence is not only possible, but has been a reality before. The Abraham Accords, signed in recent years, stand as a powerful testament that enmity is not destiny. When leaders choose dialogue over discord, new alliances can be forged, and old animosities can begin to fade. These agreements show that even the most entrenched conflicts can give way to cooperation, opening doors to economic, cultural, and social exchange. But lasting peace is not built by treaties alone. It requires empathy, the willingness to see the world through another's eyes, and a recognition of each other's narratives and pain. It demands courageous leadership, not just at the highest levels, but within communities, families, and individuals who are willing to build bridges, even when it is difficult. Across the region, grassroots efforts and interfaith dialogue are quietly sowing seeds of hope. From youth workshops to community projects, ordinary people are reaching across divides, challenging stereotypes, and imagining a future where peace is possible. These small acts of courage and connection may not make headlines, but they are essential steps on the long road to reconciliation. The future remains unwritten. While the path of conflict is familiar and well-trodden, the possibility of peace is always present, waiting for those willing to pursue it. Every new day brings a chance to choose understanding over suspicion and hope over fear. Ultimately, the choice between repeating the cycles of history and forging a new path toward peace is ours to make. The journey will not be easy, but it begins with a single step, one that each of us can take together.